Hey everybody! Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome one and all to our Author Pep Talk of the week. It is so good to see everybody on. How's everyone doing today? We are here to talk about the end slump today. And there are two kinds of end slumps. We'll go through what those are. But if you've been getting close to the end, maybe you've been participating in the Novel 90 Challenge, and you just haven't felt like you can cross that line, or you've crossed it and you just feel deflated, then this is the pep talk for you. And if you have a writing project that you've put off the end on many, many, many times, hopefully this is the day we can get past that hurdle. We can finish our story. So I'm excited to just share. I know that the end slump can be discouraging. It has hit me hard. I know it's hit a lot of my peers hard as well. And so we are pooling some best practices to share, and hopefully, you guys could share as well. This is a live pep talk today. So share your tips. What's worked for you, what you've struggled with as we go through, we can come out a better community for it, right? All right. So I think it is time. I don't want to make anybody wait too long. This is a nice Tuesday afternoon. First things first, though. What is the end slump? Have you encountered it yet? Now, some of you, if you've never heard of this before, might be like, I don't know what it is. You haven't told me, so I don't know. So we'll come back to this. But if you already know, have you encountered it? And I do say yet, because it hits most of us. Have you encountered it? Yep. Is this the slump after you write the end, or as you approach the end? We're talking about both today, Tony. We will accept either one. Scarfing sweethearts in despair has helped. I love that. Hey, everybody. Okay. So, like Tony was just saying, there are two types of the end slumps. There's one version that creeps up on us as we get close to the end. We haven't written the end yet. And then there's another one that hits us after we write the end. Now, a lot of people just go through one or the other, right? I'm running through my book, I write the end, and then I go, wait, what now? And then others have trouble even getting the end on the page. So we are going to fix both today, and it can vary project to project. People approaching the end. You have not put the end on the paper yet. Does anyone live relate to these tells that show you have the end slump? Getting there. Missing your story. You don't want to write the end yet because you miss it. You know you're going to miss working on it. You're unsure of how you want the story to end. You can't leave your characters behind. You've spent all this time with them. And then what comes next is terrifying. And writing has miraculously become the safe space. When did that happen? I don't know. But at some point, we crossed into writing being the safe and familiar thing. So learning something else, that's hard. Whichever of these has you approaching the slump in this the end phase, you need to remember the end holds whatever power you choose to give it. So you can treat it as something freeing. It opens you up to edit. It opens you up to connect with readers. It opens you up to write the next book. Or you can let it hold the same mysterious power that the monsters under the bed hold. When I was a kid, I used to have fear of these wolves walking around at night. That was all real to me. It was very visceral and it was paralyzing, and it kept me from wanting to sleep, from wanting to, just rest there in peace. Same thing here with this. If we give this a lot of fear and power over us, it will paralyze us. Let's see. Yeah, sad to leave them behind sometimes, just like when you read a good book and you don't want to put it down. Exactly. Yours isn't that conscious. You just need to step away. Sometimes they return in some of your blog short stories. So we've already got some people giving tips for some of these things, right? We work hard to get here. So let's work through some of these points. Point number one is you're going to miss the story. And no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just like any great vacation, any great adventure, any great anything, at some point we move on. Life changes, people change, the story has now changed, and it's time to move on. Now, that doesn't mean that the story is going anywhere. This story is yours. It will always be yours. You can come back to it even if you don't publish it. You can make changes to it. You can write spin-offs from it. You can pick that favorite character that you love so much and give them the happy ending you didn't actually give them in the book. You can reread it anytime you want. One of my favorite authors tells me that they write because they want to read what happens. That is wonderful. And that's part of why I'm a pantser. I write to find out what happens. And then once it's chronicled, you can go back and read it whenever you want it. So just because you're putting the end on the page doesn't mean that you are going away and never looking back and never going to reread this treasured tale that you have spent so much time and effort and energy creating. It just has a different role. Some people hit the end slump because they don't know how it's going to end yet. This is where I say planters and pantsers. You get going and you start writing and you may not genuinely know how the story's going to end. But be honest with yourself here. I'm not going to call anybody out. You don't have to admit this in the chat if you don't want to. But if you're using this as your reason for not writing the end, do you really not know the end? Or do you not want to write the end? Tied into one of the other 3 points we're talking about right now. Because if you really don't know how it ends, it might be time to sit down and give yourself some pointed direction. I am going to reverse outline my story today so that I can figure out what plot points I put in place, so that I can figure out what character arcs I put in place, and what has not been resolved yet. And then I'm going to tie those together in the end. I'm going to make myself a roadmap. If you use a tool like AutoCrit, you can use AutoCrit's backwards blueprint. On our YouTube channel, there is a how-to video on how to use our reverse outlining tools for free. So go check it out. But it will read your story and tell you where you might have missing character arc things, missing plots, missing conflicts. So if you don't know how your story ends, there are definitely ways to find out where you left off and resume. But you do have to pull that trigger. You have to make a choice, right? Yep. And that ties into here. You had 3 endings. Since you didn't know which one was best, you wove all 3 into one and worked perfectly. I love that. That's fantastic. You have your endings. You just sometimes hate to write them. You tend to write tragedies. Yep. You wrote another story with 2 characters and now you're going to use it for marketing. So yeah, if you do have several endings, you have to choose the ending or do what Tammy was saying, weave them all into one cohesive ending that is stronger for the comparison. But if you do know how it's supposed to end, like we saw it there with not wanting the tragedy, what is keeping you from putting the pen on the paper? Chances are high it's one of the other 3 things that we've talked about, like missing the story, or the one we're going to hop onto next, which is, I don't want to leave them. I don't want to leave the characters. I've invested so much time into these characters. I remember being younger and watching an interview with the author of a book that has sparkly vampires say that the characters were telling her what to do. And at that point in my life, I hadn't been writing a whole lot. And there was a lot of speculation about, oh, she had characters talking to her. And then I became a writer and it all made sense. These characters take up rent in our head. They don't pay us squat. They put us through all this trouble, but we get to be the hitchhiker in their life. And we don't want to leave them. We don't want to let them go. But what do Mufasa and Littlefoot's mom and Obi-Wan Kenobi all have in common with our characters? No, it's not that they're all dead. We are not saying goodbye to our characters. We're not unaliving any characters here today. No, it's them being with the people who are taking in their story. I will always be with you, says Mufasa to his son. I will always be with you, says Littlefoot's mom to her son. I will always be with you, Obi-Wan Kenobi assures Luke. The Force will always be with you, right? And then they are hanging out in the backstory, popping in for a little amount of time or a lot amount of time, depending on which one you're watching, just hanging out, guiding, being there in the background. Your characters aren't going anywhere. They live in your head rent free. Whether they're at the fore of it or not is up to you. So just because you write the end on their story does not mean that they have left no impact, and you don't have to actually toss them aside, never see them again. That really would be tragic. All right. And then, sorry, I skipped ahead just a little bit there. What comes next is terrifying and writing is safe. I love when I hear this from writers because that means something important, something life-changing for all of us. Writing has become your safe space in this process. When did that happen? How many of us remember how hard it was just to start, right? I don't know how to start writing. I just want to write. I want to be a writer. And it seems so out there and out of the blue. And then we go on through our writing journey and we approach the end and we lose sight of the fact that writing has become so comfortable, something we enjoy so much, something that we have poured our hearts and souls into so much that it's home. So the fact that we won't be doing it anymore is now the scary part. What comes next is terrifying and writing is safe. So when you think about this, I want to encourage everybody here to remember you're not done writing. We are writers. Stories are going to keep coming. It's not a one book and done deal for most of us. So you are writing the end for this book and opening the door for another book, another experience. It is okay to write on the side while editing a different piece. You don't have to give up the writing. But just like you had to push yourself to find safety in writing, you now have to push yourself to find comfortability in editing, in marketing, until that also becomes the thing you're used to. And a few years down the line, someone says, hey, come to my in-person event. And that's what's scary, because all of a sudden, writing and editing and publishing online, that feels easy. And that is how the writing journey is. The further we go along in the journey, the more comfortable we get with the parts we have already done. So whenever you feel like, hey, I can't do this next thing, it's too hard, it's too big for me, stop and tell yourself, hey, I wrote a freaking book. I didn't think I could do it, but I have. And this is the only thing left between me and achieving my next step to greatness. Because here at AutoCrit, we coaches believe in you guys, and we want you to believe in yourselves. Remember, it is okay for what is coming ahead that you haven't gone through yet, that you have zero experience with yet, that you're struggling to master if you're in it right now. It's okay for that to make you nervous. We are people, and we have poured our heart and soul into these books, and we know we're going to have to make changes, and we know we're going to have to embrace learning new skills to give the voices of our characters the strength that they deserve to have. And it's okay to be nervous about that, but don't let it paralyze you. We're going to talk about that going forward into the next part here. Finding courage as an author is not about not being afraid of things, not being afraid of the new things you have to learn, or the new changes you have to learn, or the new software you have to learn, or the new marketing trends. That's not finding courage. Finding courage as an author is knowing that those things are overwhelming, but finding an ability inside of ourselves to push through anyway, because our stories are worth more, and we as people, as writers, are worth more than the fear of the unknown is. All right, I'm going to pause there a second. Any other thoughts, tips, advice, getting through that slump before you've written the end on the page? I love that. Writing has always been your cathedral filled with peace. Yep. Sometimes you have to check in with yourself to avoid all the lies you tend to tell yourself. Is it me, my main character? Is it my story? Do I need to refill, refresh, get a fresh perspective? Absolutely right. And if you don't know how to objectively view your own work, there is a live in our Author Pep Talk playlist here on YouTube about how to identify whether your work sucks or not, and how to be objective when you go into editing it. So you can catch up with that there. All right. This list, the end slump, are for the people who have written the end already. If this isn't you yet, it may be you in the future, so take note. Don't run off. If you have already written the end, do you relate to any of these tells? Analysis paralysis. I got going with my story, and now I'm wondering if my story truly sucks, like we were just talking about, or whether it's me, or I don't understand, or I need to get a human editor, or I could have done this a million different ways, and then the book doesn't get edited. Do you have a lack of excitement? I crossed the end. I thought I'd be excited. I thought this would be an exciting day. And all I feel is overwhelmed or down or sad. Maybe you feel utterly exhausted in every way. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you have nothing left to give. You are completely poured out. And then maybe you're drowning in a sea of possibilities. You're not in analysis paralysis because you haven't started editing yet, but you're stuck in all these other possibilities. Should you get a human editor? Should you learn to self-edit? Should you try a tool like AutoCrit out to help you learn and self-edit at the same time? Should you go book all of these expensive looking book tours and book review places and launch parties? Should you start building a platform now, or should you wait until the next book is written? All these possibilities, and it renders you helpless. Remember, though, as we go through these next few, that writing is a marathon. The biggest mistake I personally made as a writer coming into this, thinking this would be my career, was that this was going to be this big out the gate blast of energy that would never end. And then I finished book one and it went out and it did well. And I was exhausted because I treated it like a sprint instead of a marathon. I did not save anything for myself. So you are in control of your pace. How long or fast it takes to get this done is solely on you as the writer. So if you need more time, adjust your pace. If you need less time, speed up the pace. You can adjust to make this your own personal journey. All right. First thing, my writing sucks. Biggest reason for post the end slump right there. You write the end and you're not excited because you feel like crap. I've put out a piece on this page that wasn't worth writing, and nothing eats at your soul like feeling you just wasted days, months, years, decades of time writing something that you're not proud of, you're not happy about. Nobody has a perfect first draft. Not even planners with all their planning glory, although I will give you guys the nice special planner stickers for making it that far. This is not an issue with your perfect outlines. Starting over again will not give you a perfect draft. Your writing is not going to be polished and pretty the first draft. It does not happen. Giving that a second to sink in. So with that in mind, Expectations are everything. And who is setting the expectation? Who is setting the rules? You are. This is your journey. This is your book, like Alice in Wonderland. This is my dream, and I will decide what happens. This is yours. So go watch the pep talk about how to objectively analyze your own work to determine what is genuinely not good and what is genuinely good. And then get some external tools to help you objectively continue on that path and keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up. Your writing doesn't necessarily suck. Make smart goals for yourself so that you don't end up in analysis paralysis. Give yourself time-bound, specific goals that are attainable and they are relevant to your work. Today, I'm going to make sure that I didn't slip into past tense anywhere. Today, I'm going to make sure that I kept all my points of view in third person or first person or second person. Small, achievable goals to work ourselves out of analysis paralysis. There's also a pep talk video about analysis paralysis. You're exactly right. When you weren't resting, no bright ideas were accruing. You're just going through the motions to finish a dev edit. Exactly. I love that, Tammy. Your dreams, your words, even if you think it sucks, you write it anyway. Exactly. Yeah, Brian, I'm in my suck mode now. I did it anyway. Next one. Why don't we feel excited? Shouldn't I feel excited? This is the exact quote that ran through my head when I launched my debut epic fantasy. And I sat there and I stared at the screen and I stared at the posts popping up on social media from my great art team who was posting reviews. And I thought, why don't I feel excited? Why do I just feel meh, the same as always? Here's the thing. Even if you're not a mother, nobody would go into a labor and delivery room and expect a mother immediately after childbirth to solely just be joyful. There is a huge mix of emotions in bringing another human being into this world. There is a huge mix of emotions bringing a book into this world. It's intense and it is exhausting. And until you actually achieve it, you do not know how you will feel. We think we're going to be excited. We think we're going to be happy. And some authors are. Some authors hit their slump before writing the end. Some authors don't hit a slump until after the publishing part is done and it's been a few months and then they slump. But most of us do get a slump at some point, and it's because these emotions have to balance themselves out eventually. Super high highs are great, but then we have super low lows, and we know that we're just going to ride these writing waves. The more effort you put in to getting to the end, the greater letdown you may have, and that's relaxing. The harder it's going to be to get back to normal. It's going to be sudden and swift and a sharp notice, just like talking about our sprinters versus marathon runners. Sprinters put this huge boost in, they run, and then what do they do when they get over the finish line? They collapse to their knees. They might stand to the side and catch their breath. They have to stop. Nobody expects a sprinter to be like, oh, okay, it's done now. Brush your hair over your shoulder and move right along. Doesn't slow down, doesn't stop, doesn't try to catch their breath. It's the same thing with writing. You cannot push yourself through the end of a book and then expect yourself to immediately go, okay, dev edit number 1, and have no emotional letdown, no emotional recovery. Be kind to yourself, you guys. Know that you are going to have to recover a little bit from this time. And that feeds into self-care. Sheer exhaustion takes hold of a lot of us because when we start out writing, our big goal is just to get done. I just want to finish a book. And you push so much because you're so close and you cross the end and you collapse. And then publishing is the same way. I have now published over 10 different books under just this pen name. And every book that comes out, as the launch gets closer, I get more and more wound up and on edge. I'm leaning forward. I'm trying to make this the best I could possibly make it. And the day after that launch, I'm done. Just going to fall out because there's a lot that goes into this. So with that in mind, self-care is not just oh, that's nice, flowery term for writers. It's essential. If you do not refill your creative wells with things that inspire you, things that motivate you, things that remind you why you're doing this to begin with, things that are not just taking from you. If you don't refill your creative wells, you are not going to be able to pour out the best quality work moving forward. You can run on empty for a while. Even cars can run on empty for a while, but when they crash, how much damage has been done to the engine? How much time and expense is going to go into repairing that? Don't treat yourself like a car running on empty. Refill your creative well. We need to wine and dine our muses, our inspiration, fuel ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically so that we can continue this race. I don't sleep as much as I should. We all have our little things, right? I don't sleep as much as I should so that I have time to work a full-time job, be a mom to 2 kids, one of whom's in school, be a partner, be a person with a life outside of books. It's a very little one, but it's there, right? If I don't get enough sleep, eat enough food, keep myself up, my mental capacity starts to slug, and I'm going to put out subpar work. I'm going to do subpar edits. My readers are not going to be as happy, and my reviews are going to slip as a result. So you are investing the most in your journey by investing in yourself. All right. Just keep swimming, right? We are caught up. We're drowning in the sea of all the things. It's so shiny. Look at all the options for your book. The book is done. The cover could be so beautiful. The formatting could be gorgeous. I could get a special edition slipcover with sprayed edges and then go pitch it to Barnes & Noble and pitch it to Books A Million and pitch it to all these places and then take it to events. And then the more we start piling our huge potential possibility list onto our heads, the more we start to drown. Because we have to start making progress or we will be stuck in a slump of inactivity. We won't actually achieve anything because we are too busy looking at everything else and getting distracted by all the shiny things. Pantsing. You guys know I'm coach of Team Pantser. I am a pantser through and through. Being a dev editor for a living does not change the pantser in me. Pantsing is for the writing phase. It is not for our marketing phase, and we will get swept away if we do not approach this with a plan. So make a little plan for yourself. What do I have to do right now? Something that I did the other day was refine my spreadsheet for this phase. Here, what are all the things I could possibly do with this book? And I let myself take an evening. And every single potential thing I could do with that book in my wildest dreams and an endless budget went on the spreadsheet. And then I started going through and check marking the ones that I actually need to launch this book. And that has helped me drill in, find targeted things to spend my mental energy on, right? All right. Wrapping this all up as we come to the end of our time together today. What next steps are you going to take today to get yourself out of whichever of these 2 slumps you are in? The one where the end isn't on the page, or the one where the end is on the page and you're in a slump because of one of these other reasons post-writing. If you're not in one yet, start your escape plan now. The best time to plan a way out of a rut is before you get into the rut. Because the rut is going to come. You will hit the rut. It will. It's inevitable. It's going to hit almost all of us. So how are you going to do it? Don't wait to be in the slump to try to dig yourself out. But if you are there, you're in good company and you can get out. And I believe in you. And Becca and Kat and the rest of the AutoCrit team, we believe in you. We believe in your words. You need to believe in you, and you need to believe in your words. Use some of the tips here, some of the tips in the objective analyzing video, in the analysis paralysis video, in Becca's imposter syndrome video. Go find the one that best fits where you are. Let's get out of this. Let's start making forward progression. All right, everybody. I love that you asked that, Bob. Where can I find resources to instruct you on how to plan and execute a book launch? The AutoCrit Academy has a self-publishing course that we do a couple times a year. I don't know when you are watching this replay, future people watching the replay, but there's a little help bubble in the bottom right corner of the AutoCrit site where you can ask for things like that. Right now, we have a book marketing workshop that's running. That is a good first place. It's Book Marketing 101 to go ahead and get into learning how to market your book from ground up. Tonight, we're going to talk about social media and leveraging social media. There's so many resources for you guys there. And then, of course, AutoCrit has its free AutoCrit 101 series as well that has a marketing session that you can watch with the new Market Fuel feature. All right, you guys. I am so proud of you. I'm so excited for what we're going to do for all of your books. For people in Summer Novel 90, please don't give up. Please, please, please keep going. I cannot tell you how excited I am just to see where all of our hard work ends up paying off. And if you would like to tune into a AutoCrit writing challenge, it's free to do that. Let's see, I'll drop the link for you here. There's another one starting in October where we will be there all along the way with you guys to help you plan, write, edit, and get a book ready for publication in 90 days as part of a free challenge with Becca, with Kat, with myself, representing Team Pantser over here. We want to see you cross the finish line. Okay? So don't give up on yourselves. Please don't let the slump carry you off. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.